Lots of conversation over the weekend after the Daily Wire published a story that said a Federal Emergency Management Agency employee told folks there in Florida not to go to the homes of folks who had Donald Trump signs on their property. About 20 Lake Placid, Florida homes were skipped over and did not receive door-to-door service. Now, this, of course, led to lots of outrage. You had Republicans like Florida Governor Ron DeSantis calling this discrimination. You had MAGA folks saying this is shameful and despicable. You've had FEMA apologizing for this. Well, Marn'i Washington says the homes were skipped due to political hostility aimed at the workers. And you remember, in North Carolina, some federal FEMA workers were met with guns from folks in that particular state. Marn'i Washington, who is that employee who was fired, joins us now from California for this exclusive interview. Marn'i, glad to have you here. So let's walk through this. First of all, when were you notified? Because the Daily Wire said there was a whistleblower who made this point. Go ahead.
I was notified after I demobbed. The next morning, they told me verbally I was fired, but they never provided me anything in writing stating that I was fired. They all alleged that these actions were made on my own recognizances and that it was for my own political advances. However, if you look at the record, there is what we call a community trend. And unfortunately, it just so happened that the political hostility that was encountered by my team, and I was on 2 different teams during this deployment, they just so happened to have the Trump campaign signage. FEMA always preaches avoidance first and then de-escalation. So this is not isolated. This is a colossal event of avoidance, not just in the state of Florida, but you will find avoidance in the Carolinas. Senior leadership will lie to you and tell you that they do not know. But if you ask the DSA crew leads and specialists what they are experiencing in the field, they will tell you. Demand for FEMA to give you those incident reports. They will substantiate what is happening to us in the field.
Okay, so let's go through that. And you also sent a text message to folks, and you said, "My civilian job has severed ties based on their core values, which is based on FEMA's determination of firing me." You laid the core values. You said, "Which of these did I violate?" You said, "I did not vote for Kamala. I'm nonpartisan. FEMA did not give me fairness. They violated their own values. They know homes are being skipped due to political hostile encounters." So when you say you didn't vote for Vice President Kamala Harris, did you not vote at all in this election?
Correct.
And so
I didn't even have an opportunity to vote at all in this election due to the amount of deployment requests and the high demand of help that is needed with FEMA.
So, okay. So you normally do vote. You simply didn't vote in this election.
Correct.
Okay. So let's go through this. And again, they say you skipped the homes. And so when you talk about the incident reports, have you released those publicly? Have you released the report saying this is where I notified FEMA executives of these particular homes and how they were hostile to our workers?
So I have not relinquished any reports. And any time that we relinquish reports, we do not state specific homes due to PII. What we do is we discuss community trends. So if we are noticing, for example, on Mary Street, you'll find 3 or 4 homes that we tried to canvass and we were greeted with unwelcomed arms, or people are coming out with guns blazing or he's screaming at us, then that's a street we need to avoid altogether.
Okay, so let's so first and foremost, you work with, is it Avanoth?
Oh, that's my civilian job, Avanoth, yes.
Okay, all right. So I'm sorry. So explain us civilian job and fired from FEMA for folks who don't understand.
Yes, At home, I have a regular job like everyone else. I have an executive position. I take care of things there for that job. I'm in contract with them on their terms. And then for FEMA, I work as a reservist. So my time for them is on call based on deployment orders that I receive.
So explain that when you say the deployment, FEMA's not military. So what does that actually mean?
Deployment means that they are asking you to leave your resident of records and to respond to a natural disaster on United Nations land.
Okay, and that, so how long had you been working in this capacity with FEMA?
Since 2019.
Because 2019. So you had worked other disasters around the country.
Correct, and I always exceed the expectation, and I come highly recommended.
Okay, so when they say a FEMA employee, are you technically a FEMA employee or contract?
I am an employee. There's different forms of hire with FEMA. You can be a reservist, you can be a PFT, which is a full-time employee, or you can be part of the Corps where you work 50 weeks out of the year. You can also contract with FEMA as well. So there's various forms of employment with FEMA.
So not only were you fired from FEMA, go to my iPad, your civilian, so your other job with Avanath, you've been fired from that job too.
They actually did that in writing, yes.
Okay, so what did they say you violated? First of all, what kind of company is this? I've never heard of it. What kind of company is it?
It is a property management company. They are nationwide. I am a regional manager. Well, I was a regional manager for that property. I took care of their portfolios for various different acquisitions within it. I'm not sure what core values I have violated there because my actions with FEMA have nothing to do with them at all.
Yeah, so I'm reading this, and this is from a Pat Gaudin, Gaudin. It says, I regret to inform you that your employment with Avanath is being terminated effective November 15, 2024. However, your last day working with Avanath will be effective immediately due to violation of the company's core values and workplace policies. Due to the nature of your absence, I will work directly with you for the return of all Avanath equipment and community access items. Your benefits will terminate on November 30th. Then it goes to final payment, things along those lines. So this is Pat Gaudin, Executive Vice President, Human Resources. So they never explained to you what you violated?
No, they haven't. And this is all because of FEMA's doing. They allowed a partnering company to leak internal communication and then relinquish all of my personal contact information. So FEMA didn't just jeopardize me. They also put my own company that I work for at home in jeopardy because all this information's on LinkedIn. And FEMA has not gone after these people that has leaked this information, that has breached our policies.
So you talked about hostility.
Yep.
This was a text message that you sent us where one of the folks out there said, good morning, LeGros Road is politically hostile. We are not canvassing this street any further. Moved on to North Lakeview Road. Great decision. Thanks for the update.
Exactly. So my senior leadership was aware of the amount of encounters that was going on in the field. Again, this was my second time and a second crew in Florida and experiencing unwelcomed behavior from the residents. Now, not all Floridians have been unpleasant, but for the most part, the ones that are very passionate about their disdain for FEMA, they have no problem expressing it.
So walk us through this. You also sent us this, and it says how it works. Purple paint marks. Property owners can paint vertical lines of purple paint on trees or posts along the perimeter of their property. It said why it's important for safety, clear boundaries, avoiding accidents. The purple paint clearly communicates that entry onto the land is prohibited without permission, reducing the risk of trespassing-related confrontations. So explain to us what this means, what this is.
It means they can shoot you. If they don't have the sign up that says that they will shoot you, purple rocks and painting of trees means that you are likely to be shot. It means you're unwelcome. Do not come. And they mean that by force.
So if the purple paint is there, that's giving you permission to come onto their property?
No, you do not enter. That's why the word avoidance is down there.
Okay. So,
yes.
So again, for people who don't know, so these are FEMA's rules, correct?
Yes.
So if the property owner uses purple paint on their property,
you stay away.
And first of all, how does the property owner even get this information?
So this is something that FEMA has learned over the years from responding to natural disasters under the Stafford Act. So from community trends, you start learning when you take these notation from field intel. If a community has the purple rocks or painted trees, they learned over time that you are met with aggression usually, or they do not want you on their property at all. Instead of just simply placing a, privacy sign, no trespassing, they would rather paint purple.
Okay. So I get what I'm trying to understand. So if you turned in reports to your supervisors that state political hostility for the people in the field, those reports exist.
Yes, hence why I also sent you screenshots where they're deleting files now from my computer. So FEMA says they fired me, but I still have access to the systems and their applications. And while I was in an interview yesterday, I noticed that my files were being deleted in my name, and I could not have been doing that while I was talking to Madison. So FEMA is very well aware of the incidents that take place, not just with my crew, but with all of the crews in the state that's declared. And instead of just saying, hey, this is how we're going to mitigate it to protect our people, they decided to fire me and make sure Donald Trump knows that they are loyal to him because they fear retribution.
So explain what this chart here is. So you sent us this map and it has these dots on it. So what does this actually mean?
So what that means is that shows you every home in that area. Each dot is a home.
Okay.
And that home, that dot gives you intel of if I was able to register that person, if I was only giving them resources, if I wasn't able to access the property. There's all kind of things in that data for that one dot. So when someone says that, oh, there was at least 20 homes missed, or we didn't do this, or we didn't do that, we have to put that into context because this was a breach from a partnering company that FEMA hired, the surge capacity team, which are usually just TSA workers. They took it upon themselves to say, we want to go and register these homes, knowing that it is hostile and it could possibly endanger the rest of the team. So because they didn't get what they wanted, they went and sent this information out and misled the people that we just bypassed these homes. We omitted these homes for safety precautions, not because of political plight. Like, no one cares about that. We want to make sure people can register.
So when you say for political, so describe for me what political hostility means. Is it
people will tell you, I don't like FEMA. That's part of the Biden-Harrison campaign. You guys are lying to people. You're not helping people. You don't even give people the essential needs funding, the $750. A lot of people think
so again, I just want to understand. So when the people who out in the field reporting to you, they were they approaching these homes, knocking on the door, or people out there in the yard saying this? And so when that homeowner makes these statements, then what then does the worker do? Does the worker say, sir, ma'am, thank you very much? And do they then notate political hostility? Do they move to the next house?
Yes, they are to de-escalate and disengage immediately, walk away from the home, complete the notation of what the encounter was, and move on to the next home.
Does FEMA have that documented that this is the way it's supposed to be done?
Oh, yes. Ask them for it.
So FEMA has documents that show that, field worker, if you run into anyone who is politically hostile or is hostile to you as a worker, you're saying they are to de-escalate, thank you very much, and keep moving, and then make a notation of that particular home of whatever that specific encounter was.
Right. You put down in the notes, hey, this was an unwelcome encounter. They affirm do not return. Whatever you need to get the message clear, this is not a home we need to go back and canvass. You have to understand when we go out here in the field, we don't have security detail. We do not have police detail. We are all we have in the field. And FEMA will tell you very quick, if avoidance and de-escalation does not work, please call your local authorities.
Okay, so what we're talking about here is, so first of all, how many homes did the team that you were over, how many homes did they survey?
Oh, I don't have that number. That's why I showed you the map.
What, so
that map gives you an aerial view of one specific area.
So what you sent us were all the homes that your team processed.
Yes.
So we're talking. So this is one map right here.
Mm-hmm.
This is a second map right here.
Mm-hmm.
This is a third map right here. This is the fourth map right here. And look, that's the fourth. So all those orange dots, those are all of the homes your teams processed.
Yes, sir.
So out of all of those homes, your teams encountered 20 homes that were defined as politically hostile.
Mm-hmm.
Did the teams under you, did they note specifically the addresses of each one of those homes?
No, they do not. Again, we do not do PII. So when you drop a dot, it just shows logistical coordinates, and then you just put the details there. But it doesn't show the street.
So I'm curious, why not? So for instance, if I'm a worker and I encountered this, I need to be able to say it was 2550 and not 2552.
FEMA does not do that. They do not allow you to disclose personal information.
Okay, so the problem now is, how then are you able to track the homes that were politically hostile?
So again, we do it based off of a report. So for example, there were two gentlemen on my team. They had an uncomfortable encounter. For example, they were told drain the swamp and some other kind of crazy statements. So I know that house was on this street, a specific street, and I know what color it was. And then if I have another team member tell me on that same street that they had another incident, it's like, okay, this is starting to become a trend. We probably need to pull out because nobody needs to work in a hostile work environment.
Okay. So again, I'm just trying to understand. So let me pull up here. So if I zoom in on this map right here, and let's say, okay, so I'm looking at one of these streets. So let's say there are 30 homes on that street. Mm-hmm. And let's say one of your field workers encounters hostility from 3 homes on that street. Mm-hmm. Do they continue to canvass each home on that street, or do?
That's when I make an executive decision and I send a report over to my TFL.
I'm sorry. What's a TFL?
Task force lead.
Okay.
And I'll let you know that we've had now several, because 3 is several from me, poor encounters on this street that have made the team uncomfortable. And I will let him know we need to move on from here. But the important thing is here, once we start seeing a trend, for example, if they just so happen to have these Trump campaign signs in front of their home, and that's the characteristic that's coming along with that, we have to proceed with precaution. So avoidance first and then de-escalation. And that's the thing. Our superiors know that. We have constant conversations about keep your people safe. If your people are uncomfortable, then just don't go.
So explain this to me, please. Explain this to me. Okay. So I'm just trying to understand what that means. So again, if I'm on a house, if I'm on a street and it has 20 homes.
Mm-hmm.
And there are 8 homes on that street with Trump signs.
Mm-hmm.
And my team has faced hostility from 3 of the homes that have signs.
Mm-hmm.
What happens next?
I informed my TFL, my direct report, hey, we're again experiencing hostile encounters. We're moving on to another street. We're not canvassing those homes.
So again, only
And,
for
and that
go ahead.
was
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
and that's the directive too. Like honestly, he has called me multiple times and says your job is to keep the team safe.
I'm sorry. When you say he, who's he?
Oh, Chad Hershey.
Okay, who's Chad Hershey?
The TFL that my assigned TFL for this deployment.
So Chad Hershey has said, told you what?
That if your team is uncomfortable and they do not feel safe, do not go to those homes. Go and canvass the other homes. Your job is to keep these people safe. They need to be able to go back home safe.
Okay, so now I have to ask this because again, I use the example, 20 homes on the street, 8 of the homes have Trump signs, and they face hostility from 3 of those homes, which means there are 17 homes left.
Right.
So
we will canvass the ones that do not have the community trend with the Trump campaign's signage and let it go. If any of those residents come outside that have the Trump campaign signage and they say, hey, I want to register, we'll welcome them arms. We will let you register. Great, wonderful. But we will not subject our people to continuous verbal abuse or hostile encounters.
So
that's not what we do.
That's what I need to know. So, but again, though, this is what I'm trying to understand here. If there are 20 homes on the street, 8 have Trump signs, and you encounter hostility from 3, how do you then, and if you say, I'm moving on from this street, well, what happens to the other 17 homes on that street?
So the ones that do not have the trend, you got to watch what you're saying, because you're saying the ones without the Trump campaign signage. If those are the ones that we have experienced the consistent hostility from, then those are the ones that we're going to avoid. Our equity in DSA is canvassing and registering, so we're going to take care of those other homes on the street. But we're going to avoid the ones that meet the community trend of political hostility, and they just so happen to have campaign signages in their front yard.
So I'm going to go back to something because you said you first started in 2019, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So for all of these, it's always these people who run their miles in our chat here. Trump was there in 2019. Did this, what you're describing, did this happen in 2009 or 2020 when we had federal disasters?
I can't speak for that because I wasn't deployed on those disasters. You would have to ask those people. But what I am here to do is to tell you that homes are skipped. The American people need to know that. If we are approached with hostility or our people feel uncomfortable, we do disengage.
And when you say you're with hostility, that's from anybody, whether there's a Trump. Well, I'll ask you this way. Have you ever noted any hostility from people who had Biden, Harris wall signs, or did you report any hostility for people who had no signs in their yards?
There you go. Yes. That is the whole point.
On both counts?
Yes, on both accounts.
So,
yes.
so let me just be clear. So you're saying that there have been times when your teams went out and someone may have had a Biden-Harris or a Harris wall sign in their yard. Your team felt uncomfortable and faced hostility, and they reported it back to you, and y'all said, skip that home.
There have been, yes, not on this specific deployment, but yes, there is a record of that in the past. What you have to understand is everybody is not happy with FEMA, because if their applications are not approved or something didn't go the way they expected it to go, sometimes when we come back around for another disaster, they don't want to see us, and they passionately let us know.
So let me go back to what I just said. So there are examples as well
Yes, sir.
of individuals where there were no Trump signs, there were no Harris Biden signs, there are no signs at all, and your teams face hostility, and y'all made the exact same decision to move on.
Yes, sir.
So when you look at how Republicans and MAGA is trying to play this as, she skipped the Trump folk, how do you respond to that?
I respond to it in the same fashion that I'm going to respond to you now. If you greet any of our team members with hostility or aggression, we will de-escalate and disengage and move on. We cannot take that risk to deal with that type of behavior. It's just not ethical for a work environment for anybody.
And again, you're saying here that those reports were turned in. You're saying that your supervisors or your team leads, they are aware of this. You're saying that they are aware that this is not politically driven. It is driven based upon the hostility shown towards FEMA workers in the field.
Yes.
Okay. Would you like, now again, FEMA has not released these reports. They've apologized and they're going to fix these issues. Would you like for the House Oversight Committee, Congressional Black Caucus, and others to actually call you and say, if y'all want the truth, call me to a hearing and let's put it all out there so folks can understand? Because clearly FEMA has fired you. Your other job has fired you. That's cost you significant amounts of money. You're unemployed. And so you're being made out to be this evil anti-MAGA person.
Yes, I take all help and assistance right now. And I also have FEMA employees that have called me and said they will come forward and they will tell their stories and they will share with you all their truths about what it is we experience in the field every day.
You talked about what you are going through. Do you have a family?
I do. And I have people calling me saying that they're going to rape me and that they're going to give me a proper nigger lynching. I have people calling me, telling me that I am a horrible person, saying ungodly things to me.
And all of this started because once this story, when the Daily Wire was published.
Because FEMA allowed the search team to leak confidential information to the newspaper that went national, and there is no protection for me. FEMA sent me an email with 10 sheets of paper and said, this is how you are supposed to protect yourself. There are people in my family and in various residences that we own where they are receiving pizzas so they can try to pinpoint where I actually live or try to locate where I am.
This was one of the emails that was sent to you here. And this person said, who the hell do you think you are to do what you did? You MFDEI hire. How dare you tell your employees to not assist hurricane damaged homes if they had a Trump sign in front? You stupid bitch, racist. Tough crap now, you miserable jackass. Trump won by huge numbers, and there's not a damn thing that you and your sick Democrat friends and colleagues can do about it. Your whole crowd is done. Only a stupid lefty company would hire a pathetic loser like you, dumbass. And you said you've got more emails like this since this story went public?
Mm-hmm. Yes, people are quite cruel.
You said that FEMA employees have reached out to you.
Yes,
and these are folks who, your field workers and others who are aware of this type of hostility.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes. Anybody that's worked with me knows my ethics. They know I do my job well. They understand the integrity that I work with, and everybody knows this is not me. And they are saying that they have no problem coming forward and speaking and telling the truth on FEMA.
So folks like Congressman Jim Jordan and other Republicans, they love, with the House Oversight Committee, they love to investigate folks. And so I'm sure they may try to throw out, let's investigate FEMA now. You're saying, I welcome these Republicans holding a congressional hearing so you can come present your information.
Please do. They will find this is not isolated. Again, I state this over and over again. This is colossal. This is not just isolated to Florida. Check out what's going on in the Carolinas. There's so many news articles where we have been people coming after FEMA employees with guns, targeting us to kill us, not realizing that we're just fellow Americans like they are, and we want to go back home to our families too. Their issue is with FEMA's infrastructure and how they implement duty. It does need to be revamped. It does need restructuring. And it's going to have to start with the truth. No matter who is in that office, there is a problem with FEMA.
I don't know who your member of Congress is, but will you reach out to your congressman or congresswoman and say, I am a constituent, this is how I've been treated. I want you to lead an investigation and call me.
I will do that.
You talked about the threats that you've received. Have you had to leave your home for your safety?
Oh, yes. I'm in a secure location.
So as a result of these threats, you no longer living in your home.
Correct.
Your family is impacted. You've been fired from your civilian job, and you're simply out here just dealing with this day by day.
Correct.
Anything else, Marn'i, like that?
I do implore you guys to talk to the DSA crew leads. I do implore you guys to talk to... One second.
When you say that, you said the DSA crew leads? Mm-hmm. What is DSA?
Disaster Survivor Assistant, crew leads, and specialists. They will tell you the truth. And I do implore you all to ask FEMA, why is it permissible for their partnering company to go and breach confidentiality and to leak documents to the public? Why is that relationship so important that they have not gone after them and held them accountable for their egregious actions?
Do you regret working with FEMA?
No, I enjoy the work that I've done for FEMA and for this country, but I do regret for believing in a system that did not care about me the way I cared about them. Clearly, the way they've mishandled me, the way they have exploited me, the way they have mistreated me, clearly shows that the relationship was one-sided. And a lot of us feel that way.
Regarding your civilian company, Avanath, if that's how it's pronounced, firing you, are you considering suing them for wrongful termination?
I'm open to explore all options at this point because I don't even know where to start. So if there is someone that can help me, this is my cry to help. This is my call to help. If there's someone that can help me legally throughout this process, please contact me. Let me know what are my real rights in this situation. Where do I go from here?
All right. Marn'i Washington, I appreciate you reaching out to us, joining us to share your side of the story. And we certainly will be reaching out to FEMA to get some answers to the troubling issues that you certainly have raised.
Thank you so much for a voice and an opportunity to speak.
I appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it.
This is about covering us.
Invest in black-owned media.
Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible.
Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.